I've got a different type of guitar lesson for you guys today. It's going to be on your 7-string. Of course, you can play it on a 6-string as well. Just move over a string. But this is going to be a black metal style metal riff that you're about to learn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it in close, guys. We'll go through this riff. I'm going to go through everything really slow. I'm going to explain the techniques involved here, and I think you're going to pick up some really awesome tips in this lesson here. But also hang around to the end of the video. I'm going to share a little story behind this particular riff and why I feel that it's more of that black metal style of playing. All right, let's break this black metal riff down note for note. But first, let me just play it through one time real quick for you, and that way you can kind of hear what it sounds like just out here in the open. There's two parts. Both parts are very similar. It's just that second part you end on a different note, so that makes it more simple. It also makes the exercise good because it's repetitive, so you can get used to playing those same patterns over and over and over again and get really good and really tight with them. So the first thing I want to do is go through each individual note. I'm not going to do any fast speed picking. We're just going to play the notes, okay? That's the first time around. Now we're going to basically do that same thing, but we're going to end on a different note. What we're doing here is we're just practicing that alternate picking going from one note to another note. So let's go through that one more time. The open B string, then to the 5th fret. Now, one thing I'm doing real quick, and we are going to move forward to the next series of notes here, I promise, but I want to share this with you. Playing this style of metal, playing this like this really dark and black metal or speed metal, whatever you want to call it, anything that involves that really fast picking, especially on lower notes on a 7-string like this, when you palm mute, you don't really want to like have your palm press too hard against the bridge there, okay? You actually want kind of a lighter touch. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here. And I know I can't really get the good video angle, but if you lift your palm just gently so that it's, you know, it's touching the bridge there, it's against the bridge, but you're not bearing down on it, if that makes sense. So it kind of gives you almost like a mix between a palm mute and an openness there, okay? The next series of notes I want you to focus on, and this is where we involve the next string. We're not just, doing this pattern on one string, because you can get really good at that really fast, but once you start involving other strings, that's when it starts to get a little bit more challenging. So now we're just going to go through this slow, okay? Now you notice I'm holding these out longer than what you heard in the beginning. And the reason I'm doing that right now, don't worry, we're gonna get to the fast stuff here. We're gonna change these notes a lot quicker, but I just want you to get the rhythmic pattern down of that right hand, or if you're a left-handed guitar player, your other hand, whatever hand you're palm muting with and alternate picking with. I want you to get that part down. So I really would rather you, if you're weak in that area, I'd rather you just pause the video right here and just work on what we just played. And I'm going to go through that one more time. So I'm going to jump right into the next series of notes, which this involves another technique string skipping. You're gonna skip that E string and go right to the A string on these next series of notes. So the first string, the B string, you're gonna be going from 5 to 6. Then on the A string, skip over that E string. On the A string, you're gonna be going from 7 to 6. Now, this can be a little challenging, okay? Going from the 1 B string, skipping that E string over to the A string. So we're gonna play these notes extended like we've been doing all along here, okay? So let's go through that slowly. You see, the first time I played that, it wasn't quite as smooth. There's a little bit of pause. If you notice that, I didn't do that on purpose. I really screwed up, which I'm glad I did, so I can share that with you. So if you need to, just rewind back a little bit so you can hear that. But yeah, going from the B string to the A string, I wasn't quite as smooth that first time around, but then I got smoother, the next time. So I do want you guys to practice this. So again, let's go through these notes again. And after that, if you need to pause the video and just practice this little pattern here, please do that. You can always, pick back up. I will say this, because a lot of you are probably, and I would ask this too, a lot of you may ask, well, man, Jason, I'm having a hard time skipping that string and making it smooth, and what's the secret to that? What is it? I'll be honest with you guys, really what it takes, I don't really have any special picking technique for that. It just takes playing it repetitively over and over again until you're sick of it, and then you keep doing it. And that's why I'm doing this lesson here. I was like, I've got to show this to you guys, because this is such a great lesson, such a great exercise to practice and get better. But seriously, if you need to pause the video, I know I say this a lot, but please pause it and just practice that. I'm gonna go through that part one more time, okay? Heard me screw up a little bit again there, so and I'm going to tell you the story behind this riff, and you probably understand why I'm kind of messing up a little bit here once I explain that. We'll get to that in a second. So the last part of this lesson is basically we play that same pattern all the way through, everything you've learned up to this point, but that last note, I just play a different note just to kind of end it with, okay? So instead of this, I'm going from the 7th fret on the A string to the 3rd fret, okay? So that's the only difference in the end of that riff there. And I'm gonna play this all the way through for you again, just so you can kind of hear it. I'll play it at half speed, how we've been learning it, and then I will play it at the normal speed or the normal timing there. And here's how I originally wrote the riff. All right, I'm going to share the little story behind this particular riff here, and I think you'll appreciate it. It's quite simple, but how this came about, I think, is going to resonate with you. But first, why do we call this a black metal riff? What makes it a black metal riff, in my opinion, is you've got some really wicked sounding notes in there. And these are notes that don't really fit the normal progression. Like when I go to some of these notes, when you play some of these notes in the riff, if you were just normally playing your guitar like most people play, you wouldn't hit a lot of those notes because they just don't quite fit. However, because of the style and the way we're playing these notes and how we're putting the pieces together here, it gives you just a very wicked and dark and evil and black metal sound. Now, the other thing is is because we are, playing an extreme metal style here with the alternate picking, that slight palm mute that kind of gives those notes more of a growl than that that chunky sound that you hear in most like classic and thrash metal, that type of stuff. So, it's just a really interesting twist to playing metal guitar. How did I come up with this riff? Here's the thing. I just wrote this riff like right before shooting this video. I literally came upstairs into my studio, I plugged in, I was gonna start working on some other song, one of my songs that I'm recording right now for a new album I'm working on. I was just gonna work on some of that, and I started playing one of the riffs from one of my songs. This is why how this riff came about should resonate with you. Okay, how I came up with this riff was by playing something else I'd already written, and I expanded on that. I'm like, okay, I'm playing this one riff, what else can I do with this style here? So on that note, no pun intended, I encourage you to take this riff that we just went through and expand on that. Once you learn the notes, you can always go back in the video and see the tabs and play along with it and all that good stuff. But once you learn the riff, I encourage you guys to expand on that, branch out a little bit, maybe add another note somewhere else, or even try playing it in a different place on the fretboard. Just see how it sounds, see what you come up with. And that's the beauty of metal riff writing, so I call it, we're all metal riff writers. But yeah, just expand on that and see what comes out, just explore your imagination when you're playing through these notes here. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please leave me any comments. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. That really helps the whole YouTube thing here, helps my channel, and I really appreciate that. Guys, until the next video, as always, keep it metal.